Hi, this is Vicki with Crafting for Fun. Today I want to share with you how I made this cute little baby card. A while back I was surfing the internet and I saw an image of a card very similar to this, but there were no instructions for how to create this little center medallion. So of course I went to my punch stash, pulled out the punches that I thought would work for this, and set about trying to create this card. And this is what I came up with. So I'm going to show you what I did. I started with a piece of white cardstock that measured 4 1/4 by 11, and I scored it in half and folded it to make my card base. And then I ran the front of my card through my Big Shot machine with a Perfect Polka Dots embossing folder just to give it a little texture. You can add the additional texture to the front of your card or leave that off. It's entirely up to you. Then I took a piece of yellow polka dot pattern paper that measured 3 by 4 1/4, and I layered it on top of a piece of white cardstock that measures 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. So there is a 1/4 inch border all of the way around my white cardstock, and I'm just going to apply that in the center of my card base, or roughly the center, and adhere that down. So now, whoops, that is not straight at all. There we go. So now I have my card base ready to go. So now we need to concentrate on making that center focal point. So I have pieces of cardstock here in red, orange, yellow, and green. These are just scraps, and I'm going to need some punches. For this I'm using my Stampin' Up! Word window punch, my wide oval punch, and my small heart punch. I'm going to begin by punching one small heart from the red cardstock, and that's all I'll need my red cardstock for. From a scrap of white cardstock, which I forgot to mention that you'll need, I'm going to punch that. I'm going to take my large oval or my wide oval punch and put it in, and I need a little more than half of that oval. And that is the base for my toy. And I'm not really happy with how straight that is. And it is kind of important that this be straight. I like that a little better. So I'm going to use that one. So that's all I need my wide oval for. And the rest of it I'll be using the word window punch for. So what I did was, since I wanted to kind of keep my colors in order, I did red. I'm going to do orange, yellow, blue, and green to make the additional pieces that I need for my card. So my first piece for my toy is going to be orange, and I'm going to keep the whole piece. Then I'm going to need a yellow piece. Now you'll notice on the stacking ring toy that the rings get smaller as they go up on the toy. And I figured that I could shorten my word window by taking the piece that I've already punched out and inserting it from the back side of the punch in and taking just a little bit off. So there's my next piece. Now my green one will be my next piece, and I need it to be a little bit shorter than my yellow piece. And this all has to be kind of eyeballed. There is no exact way to measure this. So if you mess up, just punch another piece and try again. So I'm going to try my green, and I kind of do a dry fit by laying my pieces down on my work surface and seeing if I've taken enough off to get the effect that I'm going for. I think I'm okay. And I'm going to try a blue piece. So my blue ring is my smallest ring of all. I'm going to take a good little bit off of that. And there's my blue, whoops, my blue piece. Wants to get stuck in my punch. There we go. And I may want to take a little bit more off of my blue and my green, just an ever so slightly. And so you'll see that there's no exact science for how I determine how much to take off. And if I mess a piece up or get an edge I don't like see the edge kind of got boogered up there, so I'm just going to cut another one. I'm going to start all over. I'm going to insert that all the way in my punch. And there we go. Happy with that one. Want to take a little bit off of my green piece. So again, this for me to create this, it was really a process of trial and error. And I have no idea if this is how the original person created theirs. Okay, so let me show you how, let me get my adhesive together and I'll show you how to finish up this project. Okay, to put this project together, you're really going to need two kinds of adhesives. You're going to need some pop dots or dimensionals foam tape, and you're going to need mono adhesive or double-sided tape. You could also use liquid glue if that's your preferred adhesive. And you're going to need one more thing. I brought back my scrap of white paper, and this does not have to be, this will not show except for the very tip, so it doesn't have to be, you know, a very big scrap. And I'm going to insert, well, let me show you what I did. I took this piece of white paper and I just folded it in half. It doesn't really matter what the edges look like. And I'm going to insert it in almost all the way to the other end. And what I'm trying to do, I'm going to punch. What I'm trying to do is make a word window shape that is really long, because that's what I'm going to use to glue all of my other parts onto to make this thing stick together. So I'm going to lay that down there, and then I'm going to apply adhesive all the way down the length of that word window piece, except at the very tip. So I have about that much showing that does not have adhesive on it. So I'm going to lay that down on my work surface, and I'm going to kind of work backwards. I'm going to take my smallest ring, which is my blue ring, oops, and I'm going to put it at the top, and I'm going to center it up on that little post. Use my grid there, and I don't think that's quite in the center, so you can pick it up and bring it to you at home and kind of look at it. Okay, so I've got one ring on. Now I'm going to do my green ring, which is my next size down, and I'm going to center it underneath my blue one, and I'm going to kind of push it so that it's butted up against it. And then I'm going to do my yellow ring, and again I'm going to kind of center it up so that it butts up against it. Oops, and when you're happy with its position, oops, then just push it down. And then I'm going to do my orange ring, which is the next one and the largest. I'm going to put it underneath, center it up, and press it down. And now I realize that I probably have more of this than I need, so I'm actually just going to tear off the additional, because what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take that piece that is the base of the toy, and I'm going to put it right underneath the bottom of the orange ring so that it's butted all the way up against it. And I don't want this center post to stick beyond the bottom of the toy. And that's just kind of the piece that anchors everything together. Then I'm going to take some adhesive, apply it to the back of that little heart shape that I punched out, and I'm going to put that right in the center of my toy. And before I add that to my card, I want to go ahead and add a little pearl detail. Geez, I thought I had a teeny tiny pearl here, but I don't seem to have a really small one. Let's see if this one works. I think that's a little too large. On my sample card, I put a teeny tiny pearl for detail, or a teeny tiny rhinestone would work as well, but I'm going to leave that off in this case because my pearl is too large. So then I just put dimensionals on the back of this to pop it up on my final card. Oops. And if one of your little rings falls off, you just pick it up and pop it right back on. I should have burnished those down to make sure that they were adhered in place very well. So I'm generous with my dimensionals on the back, because this is the focal image of the card. So that's ready to go onto my card. That's just going to go right on my card. And now I need my sentiment. And what I did for a sentiment was I stamped the sentiment that says, "Hello baby, welcome home," and then I used a framelit to cut it out. But if you have a different sentiment that you're using, or a different punch or shape that you like, you're welcome to go ahead and try that on this card as well. It's simply a matter of what you like on your card. So I'm going to go ahead and apply, well, actually I'm not. I'm going to go ahead and shape that a little bit. I'm going to shape that around my fingers just so that it's kind of bumped up a little in the middle and flattened out a little on the ends. And I'm going to turn that over, and I'm going to add dimensionals to both ends. I like to give that a little dimension when it's on my card. So I'm going to go ahead and put my sentiment down near the bottom so that it's a little bit raised up in the center. I'll show you this. I don't know if you can see it's a little bit raised in the center. Then I'm going to take my focal image. I'm going to remove all of those liners from those pop dots that I put all over the back of it. And I'm going to stick that on my card. And if I can find a small pearl, I'll go back and add that in a moment. Whoops. There we go. And there you go. That was a pretty easy little card to put together. If you have any questions about this card or any other project that you've seen on my blog or on YouTube, give me a drop me a line at craftingforfun@gmail.com, or check out my blog for other projects, craftingforfun.blogspot.com. Hope you enjoyed today's project.